This is absolutely the best way to get real estate leads that nobody, for whatever reason, is talking about. And so I'm going to tee this up the way that Alex Hormozy talks about. And this is going to change the way you look at your real estate business for the rest of your career, I promise, as it has done the same thing for me. So when I first got started in the business, like most of you, I was obsessed with how to get my next client, which you should be. But the way in which I was doing that was like I was the turn and burn agent. Like I would pound the phones, and I'd get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out. Give me the next one. It was like a conveyor belt. And so it wasn't until probably, I would say, probably 5 years ago that I really, really started to focus on the client experience. And at that moment in time, I started to get more repeat and more referral business to, like, as an example right now, in 2021, I did, I think, 45, 46 deals through past clients and referrals. And that was because I didn't have to work any harder to get that business. And what I realized was the best lead generation is client service. And Alex Hormozy talks about this under the context of, if you just had one client, this is the best way to think about it. That's why I'm using his framework for this, because the analogy is so good. Check this out. So if you just had one client, and it was up to how that client experience was that would determine if your business would grow or die. In other words, you had one opportunity to give this person such an amazing experience that they would go out into the world, and because of that experience, they would refer you clients, and that would serve you enough business, an abundance of new business for the rest of your career. Or if the client experience was shit, of course, it would do the exact opposite. Now, when you think about this, the first mindset that it did for me, that I'm hoping will do for you, is taking advantage of what you already have. Like, most of you already have a human that you're working with right this second, while you're stressing out about going out there and reaching out to a bunch of strangers who don't have a relationship with you, and you're trying to convince them to do business with you when you already have somebody who's doing business with you. This is what I would share with you. Focus and obsess over the experience you're giving them, because that will be the best lead generation strategy you'll ever have in your business, I promise you. So on the tactical side of things, what I mean by that is this. Let's just pretend you're working with a buyer for a second. We talk a lot about listings, and I see you guys in the comments like, well, let's talk about buyers. I'm still working with buyers, which is fine. Most of you should and are. After every showing, afternoon of showings, as an example, sending a recap email of the properties we looked at and the buyer's takeaway on each property, on what they said to you. This would be an example of a client experience. So at the end of the day, you send that recap email. Imagine you, these are all going to be tactical examples. And you can get a lot of these from another great book, Raving Fans, so you can look at client service differently than maybe you look at it right now. But let me give you another example, all right? So let's say you are, you just brought on a new seller client, and they sign a contract, and your plan over the weekend is to get photos and get that thing ready to hit the market for the next week. Maybe you send them dinner as a token of your appreciation for earning their trust and earning their business. And it's your way of telling them how much their business means to you, and it's something that you don't take lightly. And you have dinner delivered to their home on a Friday night after a long week of work would be another example. Let me give you another example. After the closing, right, the seller gets a 1099 for their proceeds of the sale of the home. making a call after they close during tax season to hand deliver that 1099 instead of allowing the seller to go out there and scramble to try to find this document, which they're never ever going to find. These are examples of the client experience. What can we do that they're not expecting that will completely blow them away? I'll give you my favorite story from Raving Fans to expand your mind even more. So in the story, one of the characters goes to a restaurant and they order a Coke, and the server says, well, we only have Pepsi. And the person's like, I really like Coke, it's all good, just give me an iced tea. The waiter comes back and brings the iced tea, and with the iced tea, the waiter gives that person an ice cold Coca-Cola that the waiter went across the street to the gas station, bought the Coca-Cola so that that person can have a great experience at their restaurant. And I just love that. I read that book probably 15 years ago, and it still stays with me right now. And we can do this as real estate agents. We can roll out the red carpet for our clients and do things that they're not even expecting that we do. I'll give you another tactic that I do that people absolutely love. When I work with a client and we sell their home and they get into their new home, after they get moved in, we'll throw a housewarming party for them, and we'll invite all their friends, we'll invite their sphere of influence, we'll have a DJ, like we'll blow it out for them. We'll do the whole thing, we'll provide all the food, all the entertainment, all the drinks, and they love it. And they didn't ask us to do this. We're just giving them an experience that they can remember, because people don't remember what you say. People remember how you make them feel. And if you can make them feel a certain way where they believe you've gone over and above all of their expectations, they're going to turn right back around based on the law of reciprocity and serve you for the rest of your career. So the thing I would have you just really think about or consider as you go about building your real estate business, yeah, it's important to generate new leads, of course. I'm not saying you can drop all of that right away. All that I'm saying is that for most of us, myself included, for a long time I was missing this. I was so worried about getting the new leads or the new clients that the clients that I had already were paying the price, and I wasn't giving them the best client experience that I could. And as a result, I was chasing business for a lot longer than I had, because if we're being honest, isn't the goal one day to wake up and have a real business where clients are coming into us by the droves without you having to chase down Zillow leads, without you having to convince for sale by owners and expired listings and make cold calls all day? Like, isn't that the goal one day, is to build a database through people that you've given just an incredible experience that they can't help but come back to you and buy houses and a bunch of houses from you in the future, and that they're referring their friends, their family based on the experience? Well, of course it is. Of course it is. So think about that. Document. This is what we've done. This is what me and my assistant have done. Document the entire process that you're going to walk every single client through, whether they're on the buy side or the sell side, so that you have a system and a process that at the end of the day, when you sit at the closing table, the buyer or the seller says, I can't thank you enough. Everything you did for us, we will never forget this. And it's that is the experience that we're looking for. And I think for most of us, we could be doing a lot more to serve the people that have already put their trust in us. So I hope that mindset helps. I hope that you consider the way your lead generation strategy changes in the future. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.